Friends, welcome to the Gym Boss podcast. And if you're watching this in the Facebook group, welcome to the Facebook group Double Your Gym. And in here, we are going to be covering what is a Q&A session. This is we're bringing this back on a regular basis. It's been a little while since we've dropped the podcast, and we want to be bringing some more value to you guys and to our current clients and to everybody, especially you guys here in the Facebook group. And if you're listening to the podcast now and you're not yet a member of the Facebook group, simply go and search Double Your Gym growth hacks, and then you can go and join the group there. You can actually get access to some sales scripts. You can get access to retention playbooks. We've got our perfect ad templates. We've got a whole range of other resources that's for free inside the Facebook group. So go in there and check it out. But the topic of today is all about sales. So I've got two things that I want to cover today for your gym. Number one is the getting leads to pick up the phone. And number two, increasing your show rates of people turning up in the gym. So let's go ahead and let's dive into this, and I'm going to break it down one at a time, because if you look at the flow, first of all, you've got to have a phone call with somebody before they actually come into the gym, right? That's the typical process. I'm sure there's other ways to slice it, but the best ways and the most consistent way we've seen is that process with the phone first, then the in-gym appointment. So here is some things. If you have got leads and you are struggling to get them on the phone, that is the most frustrating thing in the world. I will put my hand up and say I agree with that, because you feel like your time could be better spent somewhere else. So here's a few things to help increase people's likelihood to pick up the phone. And it all starts before they even become a lead. So here's one part of it. Part one of this is making sure your marketing has a clear that we're being very clear with our communication. And if you're not very clear and very obvious is the word, if you're not very obvious with what the next step is, it's going to create a lot of friction. And so we want to reduce the friction where possible. So once they opt in, they see an ad for whatever your offer is. Let's just disregard what the offer is for this. It doesn't really matter. As long as what happens after they put their name, email, and phone number in saying, hey, yes, I'm interested. The very next thing that they see after they hit submit is like, hey, the next step is to have a quick 10-minute phone call to see if this is even the right thing for you. And we don't want to be ringing you at a time that's inconvenient for you. So go ahead and schedule a time that works best for you and see what times are available for a call. Something along those lines, right? I don't have the exact wording, but that's something that we would have on the thank you page of your advertising. So once they opt in, they see that. Then they'll either one of two things. They'll go ahead and schedule in a phone appointment with you. Great, job done. And you will actually see that when you use the language like that, the likelihood of them booking a phone call goes up. Because it's like, hey, we just need to, next step is to have a quick 10-minute chat, find out a little bit more about you and what you're looking to achieve, and we can fill you in a little bit more about the program and what we do here. And with that being said, we don't want to call you at a time that's inconvenient for you. So go below, see the call times, and book a time that works best for you, right? Because now we're putting it's in their best interest. So they'll either book in or they won't book in. That's it. And so with the ones that book in, that's easy. You just ring them at the time that they booked, and then you're good to go. But for the ones that didn't book, where there's still leads there, but you got to make sure that you follow up with them. And so the very next thing is you would have a follow-up SMS. That's what I would do before you try and ring them. You have a follow-up SMS, and I would highly recommend having it automated. We have our Amplify CRM that we use for our clients, and people love using that because it's just automated, because it comes in, when the leads come in, bang, half their follow-up or more than half their follow-up is already done for them. But you can do this manually as well if you don't have it, but I recommend automating it. Is saying, hey, first name, thanks for registering your interest in whatever the thing is you're advertising. Call it a 6-week challenge. The next step is have a quick minute phone call. What works best for you, today or tomorrow? Or you could say, what works best for you, the morning or the afternoon? You just got to give them ask them the next steps, right? And also let them know it's that process to book in a 10-minute call. And if they don't respond to that, that's okay. You can ring them and you do some outbound dials, but at least they know the process. And what you can do in that, making sure that the way that I phrase that text message is key, because you want to make sure that you're increasing the likelihood of that response. So making sure the thank you page has the exact thing that you need on it to make sure it's very clear and very obvious. Then having a follow-up SMS of series of SMSs is actually, so that's the first one. But if they don't respond to that, then we've got a sequence that goes through to then re-engage them, right? And then what it clearly says in the SMS, right? And then that's going to help increase the likelihood of them picking up the phone. There's that. Plus, what you can do is you can also then send them value. You can send them a bit of value. Think of it more like a one-page website. So, but we create these, and if we don't want to send them to your website because there's too many places that they can click away and stuff like that. It's a carefully curated process of a value page where it has at the top, it has a video from the gym owner or people or staff from the team explaining a little bit about the gym, about who they are, about who their target market is, who they help, why they love doing it, and then giving them a quick little run through of the gym, like a little gym tour. To be honest, like most people do the gym tour while talking, like, hey, here's our front desk here, and this is where all of our mums, just like yourself, first of all come in. They check in here with Sally. She's at the front desk here, or whatever, right? So there is that process that's going through, so they get building that know, like, and trust factor with you, because they need to understand that, hey, look, this is a face. This is a friendly face, not just some like company. This is actually people here. And so if you can do that, that actually skyrockets. So if you have that like gym tour video, what you can do is you can text that to them before they pick up the phone. So you could be like, hey, we see you've inquired about our thing. And then you just have that same video that you can just send to them, to every single person. If they're not responding to the phone call and they didn't respond to the initial SMS, you can then send them that. You go, hey, I understand you might want to see a little bit more about the gym, so I've gone ahead and recorded this video for you so you can check us out. And then you can send them that link. Then you can follow up again after that, like a day later, if there's no response, with a call and a text. And you see the likelihood of that, them picking up the phone then goes through the roof. Now, you don't need to deploy that all the time, but it does help. So it's showing that bit of friendly face. And you just simply, like, if you're asking tactical question, hey, where do I put the link? Just upload it to YouTube as an unlisted YouTube video, and then save that YouTube link, and then you can send it to them. Pretty straightforward. And it's just literally a YouTube link that's the simplest way to do it. Then in the next part, that's part one. In the next part is increasing show rates. So just so you're having this 10-minute conversation, 15-minute conversation with the person on the phone, what do? How do you increase the show rates? Well, it all starts with what you say on the phone, making sure your script is great and that you're understanding their needs, their goals, and making them feel understood and making them feel like you can empathize with their situation and that you understand them. And also that your gym is a place that can help them. That's the whole purpose of the call, is to find out if what you do at your gym is going to be a good fit for what they're looking for. Great example is we had this just with one of our phone sales team the other day, where it was like the person inquired and they're like, hey, I really want to do yoga and Pilates. Do you guys have that there? And this gym was a PT studio. No, they didn't. And so you would not book that person in to come into your gym because it's not what they're after. So what we did in that situation was, hey, you know what? That's actually great that you want to do yoga and Pilates. And unfortunately, no, we don't offer that service here. But we do have some great people in the local area that we think are excellent. And we can forward you some of their contact information so you can go and check those out if that's what you're looking for. That's just part of being nice. And if you do that, that's also going to have this allure of being really attractive in terms of like, wow, these people aren't trying to sell me, and the fact they're referring me to somebody else, they'll probably still ask, well, fill me in a little bit more about what you do. Then you can go ahead and fill them in about what you do. So there is that. It's about what you say on the call and build the trust and build the authority, especially if you have got somebody else doing the calls versus somebody different doing the in-person appointment. That can be really powerful because the person on the phone can be what's called referring to the higher authority or the higher power, which would mean I always use this example with our team, like the receptionist at the medical center versus the doctor. The receptionist takes the phone calls, books the appointments, but the expert, the person that's knowledgeable about health and medical science, is the doctor. And so they have all the answers. They have the solution. And so being able to position that person and talk about in that light, like, hey, look, this person is the expert. They're actually fantastic. They take people through the initial consultation to find out more about you, your goals, your lifestyle, your needs, and all your likes and dislikes. So then that way they can craft a customized program that suits your lifestyle and actually gets you the goals that you want once and for all, so you can stop this yo-yoing back up and down, or whatever it may be, right? And so there's that. That's building the trust and building the authority, and there's a way to be able to do that. Then a third point, so that's 2 points there. What you say on the call is important. Building the trust and authority of the person that's going to take the appointment. And if it's yourself, you just have to build the authority for yourself, right? And then you can do that by just saying, look, this is what we do in the gym, and this is how I do it, right? Then secure a credit card over the phone for the appointment. Now, this is controversial, but I highly recommend it. And I won't go into scripting of this because I don't want this training to go on for too much longer. But what you would do is simply go, hey, due to the high demand that we've got, you can say whatever reason, right? But basically it's like, cool, we're going to take a credit card over the phone. We're not going to charge you anything today. And then what's going to happen is we'll book you in for your visit. Like, so to secure the appointment, we need the card on file. And then if they, and I know you guys are sitting here listening and go, but nobody will do that. People do it. We've actually got our team doing it right now. And the whole thing is like, then we back it up by saying, hey, look, if you don't show up to the appointment and you don't let us know that you're not going to show, well, then we'll charge you a $30 no-show fee or a $50 no-show fee or whatever it may be. But if you just give us a heads up and let us know that your situation's changed and you can't make it, well, then more than happy to reschedule and you'll be fine. So it's just that nice little security feature in there for you to ensure that your show rates go up. And the fourth point to that, so the first one is what you say, building the trust, securing the credit card over the phone for the appointment. And lastly is that branding value page that I was talking about. So on that branding page has multiple things, has that same video that I spoke about the gym tour. That's one of the first pieces there. It has some bullet points on what to expect. Then underneath that, we'll have a little bit of more detail about the services that they have. About, the core pillars, might be like, just say it's training, nutrition, and accountability. It'll have a little piece on each of those segments. Then heaps of client testimonials, 5-star Google reviews, anything that's like before and after photos, anything like that, as much of that as possible. And then a map of the gym. And then finally at the bottom has an FAQ. So it's literally like a one-page website that we send them to, but they can't click away anywhere. Everything's all on that one page because we don't want them to click away. We want them to consume the content on that page. And that also gets sent out to them. And on the phone call, before we hang up, we say, hey, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot you via email or text message a link that has access to, that has heaps of information so you can find out even a little bit more about the gym before you go ahead and meet with Ben, who's the person that you'll be meeting with in the gym, or meeting with me. So you can check out, you can see the gym, you can see some of our client success stories. It have the map, it has a whole bunch of stuff on there, and that's highly recommended that you go through that before coming into your appointment. So it'll help you understand a little bit more before you come in. So, and that's it. That's some of the key stuff that we've seen that works really well. So if we were to back it up, the two core parts of this is, number one, getting people to pick up the phone. So first of all, your ads need to be very clear and very obvious about that you're going to be phoning them, and that also they have an option to actually book in a phone call. Then if they don't book in the phone call, make sure you follow up with an SMS asking them to book the phone call, and then try and phone them as well. And then if they're still not responding to that then send them the video of like the gym tour and the gym as the explainer around who you are, who your ideal clients are, the benefits of training at your gym, and the typical results that clients get there, right? And how you structure that stuff in the text messages. So that's how you get people to pick up the phone. Show rates is the next one. How do you get people to show to their gym after you spoke to them? Well, it's all about what you say on the phone about building that understanding of each other. So you understand them, you understand their pains, you understand their problems, and that you get them, and that you empathize with their situation. So you need to first of all ask them all those questions about themselves. Then build the trust and authority for the appointment that's coming up of the person who it's going to be. And if it's you, you just need to do the authority for yourself. Or if it's somebody else, you do it like that. Secure a credit card over the phone. And then lastly, once you hang up the phone, you send them additional information with that value branding page that I described. And if you don't have that branding value page, make one, or at least have some extra information that you can send them via email. So at the very least, if you have a couple of links to like testimonials or something, you can be like, hey, look, I'm going to send you a couple of testimonials and our address and stuff like that via email so you can check it out. That's like minimum. But all of that, most of that process, the SMS side of things and the value page getting sent out and everything is all automated through our service. But this is stuff that our phone sales team, so we've just created a phone sales team done for you service for gym owners. And this is how our guys are doing it. They're doing these pieces, and I highly recommend that you implement this for yourself as well for your gym. And that's all we have for today, guys. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on here and listening in. And if you want to get more resources, if you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and join the Facebook group, Double Your Gym Growth Hacks. Just search that on Facebook. You can find us. If you want to find out a little bit more about any of our other services as well, you can simply just inquire with us inside the Facebook group, or you can shoot us an email at support@gymbossmarketingco.com. support@gymbossmarketingco.com. All right, legends, until next time, I'll speak to you soon.